To utilize logistic regression or classification trees with a qualitative variable that has more than two categories, we have to create as many 0-1 variables as there are categories of the variable you want to use in the analysis. In PS IMAGO PRO, this data preparation step can be done in one step using the Dichotomous Coding functionality. Let's move to the graduates' activity dataset. In addition to information about the respondents, we have an extra variable indicating the graduates' level of extracurricular activity, with values ranging from 1 very low to 5 very high, and additionally, a value of 99 for missing data. For example, if we now wanted to predict what determines a very high level of activity, we would need a binary variable indicating whether a student's activity is high or not. To create such a variable, go to the Predictive Solutions menu, then Transform, and select Dichotomous Coding. On the left, we have a list of variables available in the dataset. Since our goal is to recode the activity level variable into a set of 0-1 variables, select it and use the arrow to move it to the right field, where we place the variable to be recoded. In the next step, we must specify how many categories the variable has. The default setting is 10. We can leave it or set it to 5. Here, remember that we must indicate the value of important categories. In our example, there are 5 categories plus a missing data category, which is not counted. If we set a value less than the number of categories, we will get a message in the report window that the operation was not performed due to a greater number of categories than specified by the user. However, nothing wrong will happen if this value is higher than the actual number of categories. Enter the value 5 and proceed. In the next step, we must decide whether we want to create exactly as many variables as there are categories or omit the first or last category. Let's keep the default settings. Now, decide what suffix should be added to the newly created variables. By default, the value code is entered. It is important to note that with this transformation, the variable names will consist of the name of the recoded variable, the suffix, and the next number. A scheme will be shown on the screen. Remove the default value and leave the field blank, so we get variable names consisting only of the recoded variable name with the next number. Moving down, we see settings for variable and value labels. By default, the created variables will receive a label with the recoded variable name and an equal sign, followed by the recoded value label. A scheme will be shown on the screen. The second option means that the value 1 in the new variables will get the label yes, and the value 0, the label no. Unchecking these options will result in the indicated labels not being added. Let's keep the default settings. Now, in the last step, we can decide whether we want to create a variable containing information about missing data. Since our example dataset has missing data on the recoded variable, let's check this option. At this point, after making these decisions, we are ready to perform the transformation. However, if we want to create variables with the same names, to avoid interrupting the transformation, we should check the Overwrite Variables with Identical Names option, which is below the variable list. Let's leave it unchecked and click OK or paste the command into the command editor window. The task has been completed, and we have recoded the activity level variable into 0-1 variables. We can now use the newly created variables in further analyses.